So hello everyone. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay.
Yes, yes, you are.
Thank you. So in this session, well, first of all, I would like to thank you all of you all to come and join me. So this is the session introduction to Git and GitHub. Okay. My screen is visible now.
Yes, it is.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. So in this session, we will talk about Git and GitHub. So first of all, I would like to introduce me. So my name is Nikhil Chipa. I am second year student at SSJN Subodh PG College. Okay, and I am currently Alpha Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. And due to some reason, our guest Surya Goni Neha is not coming, so we will start without her. Okay, so let's start. So first of all, I'll tell you the event flow. Okay, how we cover all the topics. First of all, I'll tell you about brief introduction to Git and GitHub, in which I tell you about Git and GitHub, how it is work, all the terminologies we use for GitHub. Okay, then we start how to start getting with Git and GitHub. Okay, and then using Git for new project, adding Git to existing project, how to deploy a website using GitHub pages, and these 3 points are practical points. Okay, using Git for new project, adding Git to an existing project, and how to deploy a website. These 3 points are I will show you by practically. Okay, I share my screen and I will show you practically how you can make a new project, deploy website using GitHub, and then and in the last I'll tell you how you can get to GitHub student developers pack. GitHub provides students a student developer pack which is $200K benefits in it. Okay, so that contains some platforms subscription, and you can get GitHub provided by free. Okay, so I'll tell you how you can get, and then in the last I'll tell you how you can apply for MLSA, which is Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador program, and how you can apply and make videos. Okay, and in the last section you can, if you have any doubt, if you have any question, you can ask in the last. Okay, so this is the event flow. So let's start. Introduction to Git and GitHub. Okay, so first of all, what is Git and why do you use it? So Git is a Git. Okay, so what is Git? Git is a distributed Wait, open this. Okay. Am I audible now? Hello. Hello.
Yes, Nikhil, you are. Carry on.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So, what is Git? Git is a distributed version control system. Okay. So, what is mean distributed? Suppose you and your friends are working on a project. Okay. So, wait. You and your friends are working on a project. Wait, Neha is joining us. Sorry guys, please 2 minutes. Neha will be joining us.
Hello students, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, good evening everyone. I'm Neha, Beta Student Ambassador and a GDG member and also a delegate in Howard University Conference. So I'll be taking the basic concept of GitHub, of Git and GitHub today. So without wasting time, so let's dive into the basic concepts of GitHub. I'll be presenting the presentation, Nikhil, just
Yeah.
clear, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is my screen? Are you
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to
yeah.
see my screen? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. In between, if you guys have any queries, please drop a message in the chat box. I will be able to answer you guys as soon as possible.
We don't have the access to chat box.
There's an icon down at the call button. You can just press that and message your query there. Okay, so let me explain you the whole use of GitHub features, including issues, notifications, branches, commits, and pull requests also. So I will be going to explain you how can we communicate with the project community in issues, manage notifications for project events, create branches to manage work in parallel, make commits to update project source, introduce changes with pull requests, deploy a web page to GitHub pages. Okay. Can everyone please mute yourselves, audio and video also? Yes, thank you. So now let us see what is GitHub. So the key GitHub features you use on a daily basis to manage and contribute to software projects. So how the GitHub flow works? Basically, in addition to provide a platform for collaborative software development, GitHub also offers a workflow designed to optimize the use of various features. While this unit offers a cursory overview of important platform components, so I suggest you guys to just have an overview on how the GitHub whole process flows on. So As you work with Git and GitHub, you may wonder about the difference between the two. Git is a distributed version control system, DVCS, that allows multiple developers or other contributors to work on a project. It provides a way to work with one or more local branches and push them to a remote repository. Git is responsible for everything GitHub related that happens locally on your computer. Key features provided by Git also includes like installing and used on your local machine, handles version control, and also supports branching. So now, what is GitHub? GitHub is a cloud platform that uses Git as a core technology. It simplifies the process of collaborating on projects and providing a website, command line tools, and overall the flow that allows developers and users to work together. GitHub acts as a remote repository, mentioning like previously I said in the about the Git. So now I have said prior I will be explaining about the issues, comments, labels, commits, pull requests and all. So first I'll be explaining you about the issue. Issue are where most of the communication between a project consumer and development team occurs. An issue can be created to discuss a broad set of topics, including bug reports, feature requests, documentation, clarifications, and more. Once an issue has been created, it can be assigned to owners, labels, projects, and milestones. You can also associate issues with pull requests and other GitHub items to provide future traceability. Issues are a great way to keep track of tasks, enhancements, and bugs, or for future projects. They're all kind of like email, except they can be shared and discussed within rest of your team. Most software projects have a bug tracker of some kind. GitHub Trace is called issues, and its own sections is every repository. GitHub issue tracking is a special because of our focus on collaboration, references, and excellent text formatting. A typical issue on GitHub looks a bit like this, as you can see in my presentation. So, the title and the description, what the issue is all about. Color-coded labels help you categorize and filter issues. A milestone acts a container issues. This is useful for associating issues with specific features like it's presented here, getting started with GitHub/1. This is what the issue it's explaining about. And comments allow anyone with access to repository to provide feedback. And one assignee is responsible for working on an issue at a given time. So next, let me explain you about notifications. As a collaborative platform, GitHub offers notifications for virtually every event that takes place within a given workflow. These notifications can be finely tuned to meet your preferences. So for example, you can subscribe all your issue creations and edits on a project, or you can just receive a notification for issues in which you are mentioned. You can also decide whether you receive notification via email, web, or a mobile phone, or even both. To keep track all your notifications across different projects, use GitHub Notifications dashboard. So here's the image of how the notification dashboard is being visible. So here there are three states in which one is mentioned, one is subscribed, which is your first contribution, and second is state changed. They change the state of the process, like pull request. So like You can receive notifications for activity on GitHub, like some actions like the notification inbox in the GitHub web interface, the notification inbox on GitHub for mobile, which syncs with an inbox on GitHub, an email client that uses a verified email address, which can also sync with a notification inbox on GitHub and GitHub for mobile. So one tip for you, if you receive both web and email notifications, you can automatically sync the read or unread status of the notification so that web notifications are automatically marked as the read once you read the corresponding email notification. To enable this sync, your email client must be able to view images from notifications at github.com or notifications slash, where the slash represents your name, at github.com. So the structure just be in this way. And next, what are the benefits with this notifications? Notification inbox on GitHub and Git for mobile includes tracking options designed specially for your GitHub notifications flow, which includes many options like track multiple notifications at once, marked completed notifications as done and removed. As you can see here, it's mentioned, subscribed, and state changed. And save for notification to review later, save notification for flagged in your inbox and kept indefinitely. To view all your saved notifications, use is saved query, and preview the issue, pull request, or team discussions where the notification originates on GitHub from within the notification inbox. See, one of the latest reasons you are receiving a notification from your inbox is reasons label, where these reasons where labels will be discussed in further, and group notifications in your inbox by repository or date to take a quick overview with less context switching. So now let me tell you about branches. This is where we collaborate with more tech enthusiastic, with our friends, peers to work on a common project. We branch that label and merge it, where each one perform their different task and merge it with a one pull request. So how branches work is like, branches are preferred way to create changes in a GitHub flow. They provide isolation so that multiple people may simultaneously work on a same code in a controlled way. This model enables stability among critical branches such as main, I will explain about this in the real GitHub tool also, while allowing complete freedom for developers to commit any changes they need to meet their goals. Once the code from a branch is ready to become a part of our main branch project, it may be merged via pull request. So use a branch to isolate development work without affecting other branches in the repository. Each repository has one default branch and can have multiple branches. You can merge a branch into another branch using a pull request. Branches allow you to develop features, fix bugs, and safely experiment with new ideas in a contained area of your repository. You also create a branch from an existing branch. Typically, you might create a branch from a default branch of your repository. You can then work on this new branch in isolation from changes that other people are making to a repository. A branch you create to build a feature is commonly referred to a feature branch or topic branch. So let me explain you about how the working of the branch goes on. Once you're satisfied with your work, you can open a pull request to merge the changes. I'll be explaining about the pull request in further topics. So once you're satisfied with your work, you can open a pull request to merge the changes in the correct branch, like means the head branch into the another branch which is called like base branch. So after a pull request has been merged or closed, you can delete the head branch as this is no longer needed. You must have a write access in the repository to delete branches. You can't delete branches that are directly associated with open pull requests. If you delete a head branch after its pull request has been merged, GitHub checks for any open pull request in the same repository that specify the deleted branch as their base branch. GitHub automatically updates any such pull requests, changing their base branch to the merged pull request branch. The following diagrams illustrate, like you can see in my PPT. Here there are some features, like feature 1 from master branch, and you created a branch called feature 2, uh, which is called, let us just assume that there are two features, and then the open pull request is from both branch. The arrow indicates the current base branch for each pull request. At the point, feature is the base branch for feature 2. If the pull request of feature 2 is merged now, the feature 2 branch will merge with feature 1. So this is how it goes on. So how you can protect your branches? Yeah, we can even protect our branches also. Repository administrators can enable protections on a branch. If you are working on a branch that's protected, to push a branch, repository administrations can additionally enable several other protected branch settings to enforce various workflows before a branch can merge. So, if you are a repository administrator, for example, just note it down, you can merge pull requests on branches with branch protections, enabling even if a pull request doesn't meet the requirements unless branch protections have been set to include administrators. So how can a branch can be protected? So when a branch is protected, what happens? You won't be able to delete or force push to branch. It requires status checks or enable on a branch. You won't be able to merge changes into a branch until all the required C1 tests pass. If required pull request reviews are enabled on the branch, you won't be able to merge changes onto the branch until all requirements in a pull request review policy have been met. So if required review from a code owner is enabled on a branch and a pull request modifies code that has an owner, a code owner must approve the pull request before it can be merged. So if required, commit. Say signing is enabled on a branch, you won't be able to push any commits to the branch that are not signed and verified. So if you use GitHub conflict editor to fix conflicts for a pull request that you created from a protected branch, GitHub helps you to create an alternative branch for the pull request so that your resolution of the conflicts can be merged. So that is it about branches. Now let's dive into commits. A commit is a change to one or more files on a branch. Every time a commit is created, it is assigned a unique ID. Like every student have a unique ID number in your colleges. So such as that same, if you commit any, like it's not a commit, like if you perform any operation, if you delete, if you add, if you just upload an image, upload a code, upload a file, everything is committed. It will be verified. It have a unique ID. Every operation have an ID. So similar way, every time a commit is created, it is assigned a unique ID and tracked along with the time and contributor. This provides a clear audit trail for anyone reviewing the history of a file or link item such as issue or pull requests. Nikhil, am I audible?
You are audible.
Yeah, okay, cool. Just checking out. Okay, so GitHub Desktop tracks all changes to all files as you edit them. You can decide how to group the changes to create meaningful commits. So to dive deep into the commits, similar to saving a file that been edited, a commit records changes to one or more files in your branch. Git assigns each commit a unique ID called SHA or hash. So here you can see it's 97BC41. This is called SHA or a hash. It's a unique ID of a commit. So, and that identifies specific changes, when the changes were made, who created these changes. When you make a commit, you must include a commit messages that briefly describes the changes. You can also add a co-author on any commits you collaborate on. If the commits you make on GitHub Desktop or GitHub tool are associated with a wrong account on GitHub, update the email address in your Git configuration using GitHub Desktop. So how you choose a branch or making changes is create a branch with the current branch on the toolbar and select the branch from the list like this, so that the actions you performed on a particular date with a particular name will be visible. So if there are as you can see in the image, they are verified and they are green, but as per the other state of commit also, if they shown a red icon, that indicates we removed a file. If they shown a yellow icon, that shows we modified a file. If it shows a green icon, then we added a file and is verified also. To add all changes into the file to a single commit, keep the checkbox on the top of the list selected. And next, the most important thing, pull request. Pull request is such a action that it's really very important while performing software development or collaborating with many students to perform on a common software. Anything, pull request is a most important mechanism. So now, so what is pull request? Pull request is a mechanism used to signal that the commit from one branch are ready to be merged into another branch. The developer submitting the pull request will often request one or more reviewers to verify the code and approve the merge. These reviewers have the opportunity to comment on changes, add their own, or use the pull request itself for further discussion. Once the changes have been approved, if approved is required, that's a second case, the pull request source branch, the compare branch may merge into a base branch. So here in the image you can see that they created a pull request which is already merged, and they have committed with two mechanisms which are verified, and they created one more state with create id name. It's a date with contoso.empty. It's just a unique name where the owner created it. So just make a note that when working with pull request, keep in mind that if you're working in a shared repository model, we recommend that you use a topic branch for your pull request. While you can send pull request from any branch or commit. With a topic branch, you can push follow-up commits if you need to update your proposed changes. When pushing commits to a pull request, don't force push. Force pushing can corrupt your pull request. So after initializing a pull request, you will see a review page that shows a high-level overview of the changes between your branch and the repository base branch. You can also add a summary of the proposed changes. Review the changes made by commits, add labels, milestones, and assignees, and mention with @ symbol individual contributors or on teams. So once you created a pull request, you can push commits from your topic branch to add them to your existing pull request. These commits will appear in a chronological order within your pull request, and the changes will be visible in the files changed. So here view changes, we can't fully just we are fixing your pull request. Here's a whole description about your pull request, that they have fixed your activity, that what you wanted to do. So other contributors can review your proposed changes. As I said before, you can see the information about the branch in the current deployment status and past deployment activity also. After you're happy with your proposed changes, you can merge the pull request. If you're working in a shared repository model, you can create a pull request and you or someone else just will merge your changes from your feature branch into a base branch. You'll specify your pull request. So if the status are required for a repository, the required status checks must pass before you merge your branch into a protected branch. You can link a pull request to an issue to show that a fix is in progress and to automatically close the issue when someone merges the pull request. Tips I wanted to give is that to toggle between collapsing and expanding all outdated review comments in a pull request, hold down and click show outdated or how outdated, because it's secure to see what are the outdated pull requests that you have committed before. And you can squash commits when merging a pull request to gain a more streamlined view or changes. So when you compare what are commits and what are pull request pages, so let me explain that a compare and a pull request pages use different methods to calculate the difference or difference for changed files. Compare pages show the difference between tip of the head reference and current common ancestor of head and base reference. Pull request pages show the difference between the tip of the head reference and the common ancestor of a head and base reference at the time when the pull request was created. Consequently, the merge piece used for the comparison might be different. And next, drafting pull request. Drafting pull requests are available in public repositories with GitHub free for organizations or legacy per repository billing plans. Each like student developer plan, everything, it have its own cost or free plan. In a similar way, even drafting your pull request have a separate plan in public and private repositories with GitHub team, GitHub Enterprise Server, and GitHub Enterprise Cloud. When you create a pull request, you can choose to create a pull request that is ready to review or draft a pull request. Draft pull requests cannot be merged. Keep it in mind that draft pull requests cannot be merged, and code owners are not automatically requested to review the draft pull requests. So for more like about explaining uh, how this pull request is gonna create, we're gonna see it in the practical section. And now next dive into what are labels. As you can see, labels are labels provide a way to categorize and organize issues and pull requests in a repository. As you create a GitHub repository, several labels will automatically be added for you and new ones can also be created. Examples you can see with multiple dotted colors here. It's a bug, there's a documentation, a bug is not something is not working, which action means, and documentation. This improves and additions to documentation. Duplicate, this issue or pull request already exists. Enhancement means a new feature or a request. Good first issue, good for new corners. Help wanted, like means extra attention is needed. And yellow, invalid, this doesn't seem right, means pink means question, further information is requested. So this is what how the labels have been just marked whenever this GitHub operation just flows just like a while away. So let me explain you about labels in deep. So you can classify issues and pull requests by creating, editing, applying, and deleting labels. So you can manage your work on GitHub by creating labels to create categorize issues and pull requests. You can apply labels in a repository the label was created in. Once label existed, you can use the label on any issue or pull request within that repository. Anyone with a read access to a repository can view and search the repository labels. Anyone that trades access to a repository can apply, dismiss existing labels. To create, edit, apply, or delete a label, you must have write access to a repository. So, default labels are included in every new repository when repository is created, but you can edit or delete the labels later. So about creating and how we manage the labels will be explained in the practical section. Mm, so next I'll be explaining about GitHub Actions. GitHub Actions provide task automation and workflow functionality in repository. Actions can be used to streamline process in your software development lifecycle and implement continuous integration and continuous deployment like CI/CD. GitHub Actions are composed of many components like workflows, automated process added to a repository, events, an activity that triggers a workflow, jobs, a set of steps that execute on a runner, steps, a task that can run one or more commands, actions, standalone commands that can be combined into steps, multiple steps can be combined to create a job, server that runners, a server that has a GitHub Action Runner application installed. So there are many components. So GitHub Actions help you automate tasks within your software development lifecycle. GitHub Actions are event driven, meaning that you can run a series of commands after a specific event has occurred. For example, every time someone creates a pull request for a repository, you can automatically run a command that executes a software testing script. So this diagram, here you can see this diagram demonstrates how you can use the GitHub Actions to automatically run your software testing scripts. An event automatically triggers the workflow which contains a job. The job then uses steps to control the order in which actions are run. These actions are commands that automate your software testings. So the components of GitHub Actions you can see in the below list that multiple GitHub Actions components that work together to run jobs. You can see how these components interact with each other. Like step 1, it is used for run actions and log results. And step 2, this runner 2 is used for run actions and log results too. So there are different job for check batch version where each step also have one workflow and event. So what are workflows? Workflow is an automated procedure that you add to your repository. Workflows are made up of one or more jobs and can be scheduled or triggered by an event. The workflow can be used to build, test, package, release, or deploy a project on your GitHub. So events. Events is a specific activity that triggers a workflow. For example, for example, activity can originate from GitHub when someone pushes a commit to a repository or when an issue or a pull request is created. You can also use repository dispatch webhook to trigger a workflow. when an external event occurs. For a complete list of events that can be used, trigger workflows. See, events on trigger workflows will be explained in the practical section. And jobs. So what is a job? Here in the image, it's job check batch version. So what is this job? A job is a set of steps that execute on a same runner. By default, a workflow with a multiple jobs will run those jobs in parallel. You can also configure a workflow to run jobs sequentially. For example, a workflow can have two sequential jobs that build and test code, where the test job is dependent on status of build jobs. If the build job fails, the test job will not run. And what are these steps in the image? So step is an individual task that can run command in a job. A step can be either an action or a shelled command. Each step in a job executes on a same runner, allowing the actions in that job to share data with each other. And what are actions inside it? See, like actions checkout #v2. So what are these? So these are standalone commands that are combined into step to create a job. Actions are the smallest portable building block of a workflow. You can create your own actions or use actions created by GitHub community. To use an action in a workflow, you must include in this has a step, that is must and should. So what are runners? So in each cases at install batch, you have seen here a run command. So a runner is a server that has GitHub Actions runner application installed by default. You can use a runner hosted by GitHub, or you can host your own. A runner listens for available jobs, runs one job at a time, and reports the progress, logs, and results back to GitHub. GitHub hosted runs are based on Ubuntu, Linux, and Microsoft and Mac OS, and each job in a workflow runs in a fresh virtual host runners. So if you need a different operating system or require a specific hardware configuration, you can host your own runners. So cloning and forking. So how this goes. So GitHub provides multiple ways to copy a repository so that you can work on it. So what is cloning a repository? Cloning a repository will make a copy of repository and its history on your local machine. If you have write access to the repository, you can push changes from your local machine to a remote repository, which is called as origin, and they are completed. To clone a repository, you can use git clone. It will that icon we will be explaining in the practical section, and or a GitHub CLI a repo clone command. So what is forking a repository? Forking a repository makes a copy of repository in your GitHub account. The parent repository is referred to as the upstream, while your forked copy is referred to as the origin. Once you fork the repository into your GitHub account, you can clone it to your local machine. Forking allows you to freely make changes to a project without affecting the original upstream repository. To contribute changes back to an upstream repository, you can create a pull request from your forked repository. You can also run git git command to ensure that your local copy stays synced with your upstream repository. When you clone a repository versus fork a repository, if you're working with a repository and have write access, you can clone it to your local machine. From there, you can make modifications and push your changes directly to the original repository. If you need to work with a repository created by another owner, such as some GitHub slash Nikhil or GitHub slash Neha, and don't have a write access, you can fork the repository into your GitHub account and then clone the fork to your local machine. To see this visually, let's assume that your GitHub account is called GitHub Rainy. For example, using the GitHub website, you fork GitHub Raining or any other examples into your account. From you can clone the forked version of your repository to your local machine. So these are the steps shown in the image. Changes are made to your local let's like a GitHub example. Let us assume it's a GitHub example. So changes are made to your local copy of GitHub example and then pushed to the GitHub Raining example repository. The changes can be submitted to the GitHub example upstream repository using a pull request as shown in the here. So the fork here will automatically changes into the pull request. Nikhil,
Yeah.
is there any problem?
No. Continue.
I'm getting a sound from the side. Please mute yourself.
No.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So next, lastly, what are GitHub Pages? So finally, GitHub Pages is a hosting engine that builds right into your GitHub account. By following few conversations and enabling the feature, you can build your own static site generated from HTML and Markdown code pulled directly from your repository. So when you host a GitHub page, this is an example how it looks. Like welcome is just a practical image. So this is how it goes. So just GitHub Pages, it's completely you can get one site per GitHub account and organization and unlimited projects slides. So how this goes is like you can create a repository, head over to and create your public repository name, like username with your wish. The first part of the repository doesn't exactly match your username, it won't work, so make sure you get it right. And next, clone to the repository. And next, keep something like I've kept here welcome to our world, and so welcome to our deck. Keep something into your enter to your project folder and then push, like commit and push your changes, and then you're done. You can fire up with a browser and just start running and host an engine. In the similar way, you can develop it as much as it's possible. And these are the basics that we want to know about the Git and GitHub. And now Nikhil will continue with the practical exposure of GitHub.
Thank you, Neha.
Welcome.
So now I'll show you how you can apply practically, okay? That Neha told you. So I am sharing my screen. Okay. Yeah. So first of all, we will see how you can download Git in your local computer. Okay. So for downloading Git, you just go to the browser and type download Git and go to the website of Git. If you are Mac user, click on Mac. If you are Windows user, click on Windows. I am Windows user, so I am clicking on it. This is the Git version, okay? Now this is started. Here you can see the version of the Git is this 2.31.1, okay? So now Git is started to download. I have already, so I am cancel it. You don't have, then just download it. Okay. Now open your command md to check that Git is installed or not in your computer. You can install Git like general software. We install general software like that. Okay, so I installed here previously, so I'm checking that Git is installed or not. To check Git is installed or not, we use git dash version. So this is showing that Git version 2.28.0 is installed in my system. Okay, if this is not showing, then you have to install properly. It is showing in my system is installed, so I don't need to install again. So let's see, we have installed Git now. Okay, then we'll come here. So now I'll show you how to create a repo on local computer and publish it to the GitHub. First of all, I'll tell you what is repository. Okay, what is repository? So repository is it's just like a project folder. In our computer we make a folder, but Git don't know that he has to track all the changes. What Git does, Git track all the changes that you made in folder. Okay, but Git doesn't know about that local folder. So we create a repo and then initialize in it a Git. Okay, then Git is able to track all the changes that we made in future, then track all the changes. Okay, so first of all I'll tell you how to create a repo on local computer and publish it to GitHub. So I am opening Git bash. If you downloaded Git, then the Git bash is show here. If you don't, then you have to download. I downloaded previously, so yeah. My screen is visible now. Hello.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, so I opened Git shell. Okay, so first of all I changed directory to desktop. Now I am at the desktop. Okay, now I want to make a new directory. So for make new directory we use command macd. Okay, I want to create a new repository which name is demo. So macd, what macd does, macd make a directory which name is demo. Okay, so the demo directory is created somewhere in my on my desktop. You can see here, yeah, the repository is created. Okay, in starting it is empty, but we will initialize it. Okay, so it isn't just like a new folder. Okay, it's like a new folder that we created on our desktop, but Git don't know about it. Git doesn't track all the changes that we make in it. Okay, so but we want that Git track all the changes we will make in it. So we are going to initialize Git in this folder. To initialize Git we use git init command. When we what git init command does, it creates some hidden folder in it. Okay, that tracks all the changes we will make in it. Okay, so yeah, I so initialize existing git repository in desktop git.git. Okay, you cannot see all the hidden folders that we created. It is still empty because git create only some folders to track the changes. Now we want to, now Git is able to track all the changes that we will make. So git status, oh sorry, I just add git in it where on desktop. Oh sorry, I have to change directory from cd demo. Now we are in a demo. Okay, now, oh sorry, it mistakenly cd demo means we change directory to demo. Now we are in a demo, in demo directory. Okay, so now we initialize in this git. So git init, now git is initialized in this folder demo. Now we check if we check git status, showing nothing. Okay, no commit yet, nothing to commit. That means we didn't add yet, so it's showing that the working tree is clear. Okay, now we want to add something and delete something, but our folder is empty, so we want to add. So I am adding a file. We use touch command. Okay, touch index.html. So the touch index.html command, what did it created an index.html file in demo folder. I'll show you here. If you open this, you can see that the index.html file is created in demo folder. Okay, now we want to open it and changes. I want to do some changes in it. So code dot what did it opens the code editor in this folder. So because I want to do some changes in it, so just change it. It is taking time, so yeah, I just add hello here and save it and close it. Now we check git status. Then it shows that we are on branch master, no commits yet, untracked file. That means we added a file which is untracked yet. Git didn't track it yet. Okay, so it is showing in red color index.html because we made changes in it. So it is showing that the file that you change, which is index.html. So we changes. Now we want to tell git that please track this file. Okay, so save, we want to save, so we can in future we can see history that what changes we made. Okay, so we include all these changes. How we include all these changes? We use git add and the file name git add index.html. Add includes all the changes that you want to commit means save, so you can see in future that yeah, at that time I did that changes in this file. Okay, or you can, if you want to include all the changes that you made, okay, then don't use an add file name, you just use git add dot. So dot mean you are adding all the changes, including all the changes that you made on all folders. Okay, so you are just git add. Now it is all included, all the changes. Now if we see git status, it shows that no commit yet because we didn't commit yet. Changes to be committed, we have to change is committed and use git. Okay, it is now the color is green because first git don't know that you try, you changes some, then we include this file that we are changes made changes in this file. Now this file is included and now we have to commit means we have to save that file and tell git that this file at that time I made changes in it, so in future if I want to need that what changes I did, I can see. So for commit we use git -m, and the message is used to tell you. Message is always logical. Okay, just like if you see message, you just see and understand that yeah, I did that mistake, I did that changes in this file, like added index.html file. If you see in future that message added index.html file, you understand that yeah, I added index.html file. So yeah, it is committed. Now it shows one file change, 12 insertions, and create more this. If each time we commit a commit and new commit id is created. Okay, so if we want to see that history before us, if anyone committed or not, but this is the new folder that we created, so it shows us one commit that we made just. So for seeing history all the commits, we use git log. So git log shows the history, all the previous history. In past, if someone made commit, then it will show here. Okay, this is the git, this is the commit id. Okay, and this is the message. The message is not showing here. On head master, we created this commit on branch master. Okay, and the message is showing here, edit index.html file. So when I see this, I understand that yeah, I added index.html file. Now we created, we committed. Okay, now I want to see git status. It is showing that on branch we are yet on branch master and nothing to commit, that we are saved and working tree is clean. Okay, now I show you that. So now what we have to do, now we created a repository, and now git is tracking all the changes that we are making. I'll show you that how the git is checking, just like that. This is first he include all the changes, then he commit, and we can see all the previous histories on all the commits. Now we can see this message also. Now we want to deploy it. Okay, for deployment, what we do, we first make a repository on GitHub. Okay, so we open GitHub here. You go to repository, just create new repository. Okay, so here you have to fill the name of the repository, which is unique in your account. Okay, so I am made this name is practice. Okay, and you don't need to add those things. Don't add these three things, and just create repository. Now the repository is created. Now we want to publish our local repository, which is this. This is our repository in which one HTML index.html file is we put in this. Okay, now we want to deploy it on GitHub. So just copy this and copy. You can copy from here, or just this icon, click on it, your text is link is copied, and go to git page, and you use git remote add origin. Okay, git origin and the link of the that we copied from there, just paste it here. So what it does, it is saying that we want to add this local repository to the remote repository, that we created just. Okay, that we created, which is practice. We created practice repo here on GitHub, and we want to deploy this demo, which name is demo, to on this repo. So we use git remote add origin and the link of that we created repo on GitHub, and click enter. Now this is add. This means this is connected to this repository on GitHub. Okay, now we want to push means we want to deploy it now on GitHub. Okay, so we use git push dash set upstream and origin master. Okay, master is the branch that are always ready to deploy. Okay, we made all the changes on different branches. We made new branch and then work on it, but the master branch is always ready to deploy. So for deploying this repository to GitHub, we use git push dash dash set dash upstream origin master. That means the origin of this upstream of this repository is master. Okay, and click. When we click, it asks us to username and password. I'm not going. I log in from here. So this is my username. Sorry. The password, and you can see that all the changes, our repository is now deployed. Now we want to see on GitHub. Okay, when you click on practice, you can see that index.html file that we add on our local computer is now on the practice repository. Okay, so now you understand that we created demo repository on our local computer, and made changes in it. We created an index.html file and now deployed on GitHub, which is called practice, which we name put practice. Okay, the index.html, the content is also same. We put hello only in this. Okay, so you can see that our repository demo is now deployed, and we change this name to practice. Okay, so this is, if anybody have any doubt, you can ask. Raise your hand and ask. Just anyone. I am audible. Neha. Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, you are audible, Nikhil.
Okay, okay. Krishna, you have doubt some? You raising your hand. Krishna, yeah, you can ask. What happened, Krishna? Hello. Krishna, just ask your question.
If you guys have any queries, please unmute yourselves and ask any questions.
Yeah. Okay, so then I'll clear your doubt in the last Q&A section. Let's continue till. Okay. So let's continue. We created how to create repo. I told you, and we published. Okay, now I'll show you adding Git to an existing project. Okay, we just learned that how to create repo on local computer and publish it to GitHub. Now we learn how to
Sir,
add Git to an. Hello. Yeah.
can I ask something?
Yeah.
Just you did on command line all these things, right? So we can do
Yeah.
this with via uploading the file directly, right? It's also possible, no?
Yeah. It is also possible. We can push directly from
Uh,
GitHub.
I had a doubt of a command called git push set upstream. Will you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. So first time we created our repo on local computer. Okay. So now we want to push it to the GitHub repo. We want to deploy this local repo to the GitHub repo. So where it is? Yeah, this one. No. Git push set upstream origin main. So we don't have branches. So what we did, we created we want to push this. First of all, we added this local repository to remote repository on GitHub. Now we want to push, that means we want to push all the changes that we made in this repository to remote repository on GitHub. So we set upstream because we are doing on first time now. So we add sub set upstream. This is the command git push set upstream origin master. We are pushing all the changes to the master branch. Okay, because this is first time. So first time we use git set upstream origin, and the name of the branch name is, we put master because default branch name is master or main. So I also put master. You can put anything you want your branch name, but default name is master, so I put master. Okay, so this is the push command. Is it clear, Pooja?
Yes, sir. Yes, clear.
Okay, fantastic. So now I'll tell you adding Git to an existing project. Okay, so we want to go on. First of all, we have to go on a repository. I'm going on my repository because if anyone tell their username, then I can show you how you can add their repository. Till now I show mine also. So this is, first of all, you go to the repository on that you want to add Git. Okay, so this is my repository. First of all, what you have to do, because you are adding Git to the existing project. So this is my existing project. Oh, I choose different so you can understand where is it. Yeah, this is GitHub API JS code. Yeah, so this is my project. Okay, I made in which GitHub API, it works on GitHub. You put username and it shows you how the number of repository of that username and the projects, how much projects he made and put. Okay, so I'm showing you how you can add Git to the existing project. So this is my existing project. Okay, we didn't met now, it is made by me before sometime in the past. Okay, so we go here and we copy this. So first of all, if this is my repository, so I have permission to do this. But if you come in my account and you want to use this repository, then you have to first fork it. Now it is not showing in my that you can fork, but if you come and you want to use this project, then you have to fork it. Fork means you are creating a copy of this project in your account. So it is now my account, but when you come in this repository, mine repository, then you see that you fork, and this project is copied in your account. So the changes that you made does not reflect this main project. You can make any changes in your project, and that changes does not reflect this repo. So this is my repo, so I can directly use from here. So I use this, copy it from here. This is the copy, or you can just copy from here, control C, or this is icon from here and go to the, now I have to start new one. So I use git paste and change directory to desktop. Now I want to put that existing project on desktop. So for do that, what we do, first of all, I change my directory to desktop. Now I want to clone it. Clone, and the link that we copied just paste it here. Okay, git clone. Git clone is used to download the repository that you want to I mean clone. Git clone is used to download the repository that you want. This is the repository link that we want to download on our computer. So I hit enter and it is now downloading. Okay, cloning means downloading. And all the now I show you on my desktop somewhere it is created. Yeah, this is this. Put it here. Now this is the project is downloaded on my local computer by this command git clone and the link that we copied from the GitHub. Okay. So all the things are downloaded in this. Now it is also a repository. If we made some changes in it, it does not reflect to the main repo. It reflects that copied in our account that we fork now. So this changes will reflect us. So now I can see that what project are downloaded. So I want to see that the project did what. Okay, so I opened it. Okay, this is some HTML code, some CSS code, and some JavaScript code, and I don't know what it does. So I want to know, so I have to check it. So for check it, I go to online. There it is. First of all, sorry. I just copy paste it. So I want to make some changes in it. Okay, I see that in this project this div is not reason to put this div because it is extra. Okay, so I remove it, and this hello I also remove it. So if I see the git, first of all I have to change directory cd the folder name. What is the folder name? Now in the GitHub, now I check status. Yeah, so in this, if we check on branch main, your branch is up to date with origin name. Chain node stage for commit. We modified the GitHub API.html file. Okay, we just remove from here div and the hello that written here because I don't think that these are the mandatory or not. So I remove them and I made some changes. Okay, if I made changes, then it is showing that modified GitHub API.html. Okay, so now what we do, git add and dot. What it does, I told you that it add all the changes that you made, include in the for commit. Now we commit it. Changes are made. Okay, now this is happened. Now I want to push. Git push set upstream origin and master. It is saying that GitHub the branch name is main. I put wrong name here. Now it asks to my username and password again. So my username, yeah. Oh sorry, I just put invalid username and password. I have to run this. Now the we pushed our changes into the main branch. Okay, if we see that we made changes are reflect to this repository or not. Okay, so we check that. If we check GitHub API.html, there is no hello, and the div part is also deleted because we made from here. So now you can understand that how you can add Git to existing projects. Okay, is it clear now? Hello, is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Wilson.
Okay, so now I show you how you can deploy a website using GitHub Pages. It is simplest task that we did in this. Okay, so we go on GitHub. First of all, I want to tell you that you can only deploy your website if your website is static. That means you didn't use any backend code in the file, okay, in the project or file. So I want to deploy where the repository that we made just now. Yeah, practice that I made. So this is the index.html and I write down hello here. Okay, so now I want to deploy it. So I go here in the setting and then scroll down and you see a option GitHub Pages. Now click on it, check it out here, and always you what you do, you always choose master branch because I as I said the master branch is always ready to be deployed. So you what you do, always choose master branch to deploy your website. So I choose master branch, or here you can choose any theme. I am I go with default theme, so I change this save. Okay, so now it is showing the GitHub Pages source is saved, and now the link of our website is this. So this is, oh sorry, what is it saying? Sorry, some mistakes I did, I think, in practice. It is index.html. Due to some reasons, it it is not showing now, but when you go into setting, you can deploy your website by just turning on GitHub Pages, and the link is this, but it is not working now, so sorry for that. So it is clear now. So now I want to explain how you can get GitHub student developer packs. So
Sir,
yeah,
sir, what are GitHub actions used for?
What?
GitHub Action.
Action?
Yes.
I didn't use it action still.
No, what are they used for?
Oh, where? Sorry for that, I didn't get it.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
What she is asking?
Who's the question asked?
I don't know.
Okay, so if she's listening, let me explain what is a GitHub action. GitHub action means it will customize, automate, and execute your software development workflow in your repository with GitHub action. What are the uses of
Ma'am,
action? Yeah.
there is a harsh echo coming from Nikhil sir's side. Will he turn off his mic so that...
Okay. Now am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, yes.
Okay, fine. So usually if you want to automate, customize or execute your software development workflows right in your repository with GitHub Actions. So what these GitHub Actions will do is they will discover, create, share whatever job you did or performed, including CI/CD, and combine your action in a completely customized workflow. Means whatever did you created, every action, every step, runners and I've explained about the workflows, runners, whatever action you customized with. These all are called as GitHub Actions. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so whenever you are new to this GitHub Actions, it's quite natural. So just try to go for application development, then you will experience what is the GitHub Actions are about. Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Hello.
Continue, Nikhil. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Krishna?
Yes, I audible.
Yeah.
My question is that can it be useful only for updation?
What?
My question is that can it be useful for only for updation?
I didn't get it. What are you asking, Krishna? Hello. Hello, Krishna. Are you asking for commands or what? Hello. Then I'll take your issue in the last, I guess. So I'm telling about how you can get GitHub Student Developer Pack. So first of all, I open GitHub Developer Student Pack. Go to the website GitHub Student Developer Pack. Is this. So the process is you can apply for it by your college email ID that your college gave you, or you can apply by your personal email ID also. But the easiest thing is apply by apply by your college email ID. So it is you can get easily. But if you don't have college ID, then how you can get that I want to tell you. So you can just fill this, get your pack, click on get and get student benefits. I have to sign in, okay? So Okay, so it is up. I get, so it is showing here that approved. First time that when I apply for it, I was rejected. But how you can apply? So this is the form of this. You have to tell that the what email address you want to use. So I want to use this one if I am applying. What is the name of your school? Put your name, school name, and is showing that, yeah. And you can write down here how do you plan to use GitHub. It is optional, I guess. I know it is not optional. We have to write down something. Then continue. Now you have to upload a proof of your academic status. So the we need to upload some proof that we are a university student or college student. So what you can do, if you have email ID student, I mean call that are given by college, then you can use email ID and put picture of your ID card in which the date of the graduation, end of graduation is written. Okay, so on my ID the date of graduation is not written, so I put here the my slip of the fees receipt. Okay, I take a picture and upload it here. So you can upload an image from here. Choose image, anything that you want to, and then upload it and process my application, and that's it. It takes 20 to 25 days to reject or accept. Okay, first when I apply first time, then it is rejected because it shows that the date of the end date of your graduation is not written on your ID card. Then I apply by fees receipt, then it is approved. Okay, so you can apply by your email ID or your personal email ID or the email ID that given gave by your colleges. So it is easy. So the what is the benefits of the GitHub Student Developer Pack? Okay, I'll tell you the benefits. So GitHub shows that you can, in GitHub Developer Students Pack, it gives us $200, 200k dollars benefits, which is the subscription of different platforms like Canva. Canva is used to create posters and thumbnails and many things. So free 12 month subscription of Canva Pro, and Namecheap, DigitalOcean, Microsoft Azure. You get free access to 25 plus Microsoft Azure cloud service plus $100 in Azure credit. Okay, you can use JetBrains IDs for free. Okay, name.com, you get 1 free year domain registration, 1 free year. Okay, for 1 year you get a name.com domain. And GitHub, it is free. The more I love it, this is educative website. This is on it you can get all the tutorials of any language like C, C++, JavaScript, CSS. All the tutorials are managed in. Okay, and Bootstrap Studio, Heroku, you can one free hobby demo for up to 2 years. You can get for 2 years. Heroku is used to deploy your website or etc. Unity is a game development, tech domains, and many things you can get here. This is data camp, 1 month education holds. It is also so you can get all these things for free. Only you have to apply for this GitHub Students Developer Pack by your email ID. Okay, I showed you the process, and it takes 20 to 25 days to okay. So if anyone have doubt, you can ask. Is it clear how you can apply?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, but how we will verify that we are a student? Because currently, as it is going online, so we do not have any ID cards.
You don't have ID cards in. Oh, that's the problem. But
First year.
you can attach your receipt now. fees receipt. You can
Yes.
attach your fees receipt.
Okay, sir.
Oh, I did attach the fees receipt, so you can attach.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Anyone? Aditya Ghosh, you raise your hand. Please unmute yourself and ask question. Uditya, I guess I pronounce your name right. Uditya, you're raising your hand. Please unmute yourself and ask. Okay, then I have to continue. So we tell about how you can get GitHub Student Developer Pack. This topic is done. So how you can apply for MLSA? Okay. So MLSA is a worldwide program that Microsoft run. MLSA is Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador program. Okay. Wait, I open first of all. So this is a program that Microsoft runs for awareness in students and yeah. So this is the page of the Microsoft Student Learn Ambassador program. So you can apply from here. So Neha, can you explain something about it? Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Neha, please can you explain something about
Yeah,
Microsoft
sure.
Student Learn?
So, let me present this. You guys able to see my screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yes, ma'am.
So great. So yeah. So if I tell my experience as an MLSA and what benefits I have received being an MLSA at beta level, I've applied so far. I applied as an MLSA last year in August. Actually, applied in July and got my result in August. So right after I dive into this community, I was added into the teams which presently we are in into. And right after getting collaborating and networking with formal MLSCs and fellow MLSCs, they were really tech enthusiastic. They made amazing works. They conducted a lot of events, competitions, hackathons, and they did a very much fabulous and in an impeccable way. Everything went great. I tried to learn from them. I did some work which made me into the beta level. I even conducted competitions, workshops, and we even went to the Imagine Cup, but we didn't make it in a good way, or we didn't got selected. That's our bad luck. But there were a lot of international competitions being conducted in Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador Program. Many students have a very good reviews about how they have been and did an impeccable work in this community. So our program manager, Imagine Pablo, everyone calls him Imagine Pablo. So actually, he's Pablo. He always encourages us and at every each current he listens to every in a regional call. He listens to every ambassador that what ideas they have come up with, how they are. Uh, how they want to implement it, what resources they need to implement and make it successful. Everything he helps in it. And even if you find any problem in the whole community, you can just pick in the teams. Everyone is ready to help you guys. So this is what an amazing community it's about. And even being an MLSA, there are three levels. First one is alpha, second one is beta, and third one is gold. So alpha, this milestone is reached when you complete one learning path of any of your interest and unlock your credentials. Even we'll be getting a free LinkedIn Learning, free credits for writing Azure exam, and you can even have a free portal for Microsoft Azure development, like this and here we can create a lot of virtual machine app services, databases, Kubernetes, and whatnot, everything. We can develop so much. Even this is given for us with free credits. And coming to beta level, to promote into beta level, we need to conduct an event with at least maybe 15 to 20 members are required, but 25 plus members are a good impact. And after getting into the beta level, we'll be gifting with swags, which are very good gifts. And we will even given a Microsoft 365 account to have some more advanced tools. And later, after one similarly doing these activities with tremendous work, and we are impressed by evaluation by our community managers and program managers, we will be promoted into gold. And right after promoting into gold, there are so many gold ambassadors like Vedant Bahal, Aditya Oberoi, Harshad Bakshi, Ananya. These are very spectacular students who did a very tremendous work in Microsoft Learn community, and they are advanced into gold. And this is how the procedure goes in the community. And how the whole process goes on is, we as an ambassador have to make a difference. We need to do some transformation. We need to do some changes. We need to help our fellow students. We need to make a community, make them learn, train, do virtual events, collaborate with expertises and mentors, and have to do a lot of things. So we are, as being an ambassador, we feel like we are the leader. We speak for people. We help our peers, mentor them, and we'll be getting a recognition. But the main aim is to guide the students, and this is what our main aim is all about. So Microsoft Learn also expects us to help students as far as we can with our technical skills, community skills, and our leadership skills. So coming to the application, basically, Nikhil, please mute yourself.
No, that's it.
Cool. So yeah. So actually, this is my portal, but basically, if we want to apply for a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, I'll just show you a blog which was written by a Gold Ambassador, Ananya. If you want to become an MLSA, you guys can reach me out. I'll be sharing you my profiles, and you guys can ask any queries regarding the application. I'll be helping you out. This is my official Microsoft Learn ID, and I'll be called, and LinkedIn has Neha Surya Gavani also. You can ping me whenever you want. I'll be available 24/7. And if you guys have any query in the application, you guys can reach me out. Just a minute, I'll just show you a blog. Here's some Kushbu Goyal is also one of an MLSA. She did many videos on how we can apply, how we get selected, what are the fair chances to get selected. You can even go through these videos. So this was written by Pranakshi Bakshi. She is also my co-MLSA. I'll be sharing you this link in the chat box. Just go through this blog, but still I'll be explaining you how the application goes on. So the steps is that okay, just a minute. So step one is that as I've shown you, here's a Microsoft Learn portal. This is my portal, so that's why you couldn't able to see, but here you will be an icon called apply. There you can click on that and give your personal information, university information, your school information, and you need to write 3 essays and also give your resume. And you need to write 3 essays, and which one of the essays should be a video application. The 3 questions are why are you very much passionate about being in this technology, and second question is that how will you impact making a community, and how will you help the students. And the third one is what are the steps you will be taking so that you want to promote your community event or whatever you do. So how are you going to do? What are the steps you're going to take? So you need to fill whatever technical skills you know. Frankly speaking, please make a video. Just don't add unnecessary details. Just frankly talk about straight to the point why you want to become an MLSA, and explain about your technical skills. Why are you very much passionate about? Just answer any 3 of these questions in a straightforward and point to point line. Okay, so that it would be the application viewer will not take much time, or he won't go for a second opinion. And right after have applied in July, I just need to wait for right after, if you apply for I just applied in July, so I just got a result in August. So if you guys will apply in July current or in January current, you guys need to wait for a few more months extra. So I just suggest you guys to keep a good resume and a good essays, that how passionate you are in the technology, and just make sure you just explain yourself, show up yourself in a very good manner. Your video is all about how the application viewer will be having an opinion on you. And one more thing, being a beta MLSA, I can recommend you guys. So if you are interested in applying for the MLSA program, I can nominate you. You guys can reach me out in LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter, anywhere. So I've just show you how the nomination is going to be.
We will put our LinkedIn link in comment. Okay.
Yeah, sure. So yeah. So please, if you guys want a referral from my side, so actually May 2021 is the application deadline who want to be an MLSA. So before May 31, please pick me out so that I can fill your details and recommend you guys. And by July 2021, the decision date would be announced. So this is the latest current which is going on. And later on, just give me all the details here, which is available in your desktop. And there are 3 questions that how did you meet your, or have you engaged with your nominee? how was your nominee demonstrated the desire to have an impact with technology, and how has the nominee demonstrated impact and influence within the community. So yeah, there are so many students who I want to refer for, so I will be not able to have enough time to just write the relation between you and me. So I just suggest you guys, if you want to if you want a reference from me, just make sure that you have answers for these 4 questions. Pick me out in a document. I'll be copying and pasting it here and refer you. As soon as I refer you, you will be getting an email that I have referred you. And please just do, if you want to nominate MLSC student program, do all the required work plan before May 31, 2021. After that, I won't be able to do anything else. You need to try for the next year at the December time. But I'll be graduating in May 2022. So just if you want a reference from me, just make sure you guys reach me out before May 31 or later before May 2022. Am I clear?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. So yeah, I will be. Is there any doubts about the MLSA program or application? Any query? I have explained as much as I know today. But still, if you guys face any issues at that time, make sure you guys just reach me out. I'll be sharing all my related links in the chat box. You guys can reach me out at any time. I'll be answering you guys, or you can directly pick me up in the meetings ID also. So thank you for joining us today. It really went on in a great section, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Neha, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All of you join us, and you are awesome, guys. If you have any doubt, you can connect with us on LinkedIn and ask your doubts or suggestion any if you want.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
So I stop recording now.
Yeah, please stop the recording and
Okay.
so I've